Squatters invading a Tampa neighborhood. New at 6, the reason police can't easily get rid of them.
Only on 7 tonight, a squatting nightmare.
A landlord takes us inside his battle with people moving into homes that are not theirs. He says they've invaded several places he owns or manages. One ended up in flames.
The current PNP administration estimates that about 500,000 Jamaicans are squatters, and that's why there will be greater effort.
Can you imagine saving up your hard-earned money for years to buy land? And when you finally purchase that land, you leave it unoccupied for a period of time. And
10 years later,
a stranger just see your land and decided to live on it. Surprisingly, that stranger has the audacity and the unmitigated gall to claim that their rights to possess the land is more valid than yours.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Hello. Welcome to Legal Analysis. I am Jerome Barrett, a law student studying with the University of London. This is a place where I will dissect and analyze legal issues within the context of the UK common law legal system. These videos provide a synopsis of legal principles that are palatable for laypersons and suitable for law students who are interested in a general overview of the subject matter. I am not giving legal advice. For this reason, these videos are for educational purposes only. It is important to note that the English common law legal system has been exported around the world and is currently being used in approximately 80 countries. Hence, the general legal principles that will be articulated would be similar in those countries. Come, let's reason together. Let's see what the law has to say about adverse possession, otherwise known as squatters' right. Adverse possession is more commonly referred to as squatters' rights.
squatters' rights?
The general principle is that long use of land without the permission of the rightful paper owner can result in rights over that land for the squatters.
I've got squatters' rights.
Pursuant to Section 17 of the Limitation Act 1980, once it can be established that continuous series of adverse possession of land has occurred for the duration of 12 years, the paper owner title will be extinguished.
12 years I've been here. 12 years.
For example, in Jamaica, the gleaner interviewed a lady whose house was demolished due to alleged squatting.
Everything gone. No know what to do no more.
That's not fair.
The lady further stated that she recently heard about land selling in that area and she went and bought a parcel of that land. The operative word that should be a datum of our inquiry is the word recently.
I hear about land selling over here and I come buy piece.
Hypothetically speaking, for someone to claim ownership by means of adverse possession, they would have to demonstrate that they have been in actual and conclusive physical possession of the property by acts such as planting and harvesting of crops, making physical improvements of the property, or building and residing on it. And that they had continuous uninterrupted possession of the property for 12 years or more. They would have to prove that their possession of the property was so obvious that it would serve as a general notice to the paper owner. The possessor has to prove that his possession of the property is adverse, in that his use of the property is inconsistent and contrary to the interest of the true paper owner. Additionally, they have to prove that they had intention to possess the property by demonstrating unequivocally that he or she aims to take possession of the property to the exclusion of the rightful paper owner by acts such as changing locks or buildings and the property. If all the above mentioned elements can be proven, based on the fact that the possessor had been in open, undisturbed, undisputed possession of the property for at least 12 years, or in some instances the period may be extended to 30 years. For example, if the registered proprietor is under the Disability Act, is a disabled person, or 60 years where the property is owned by the Crown or the government, then if all of those elements can be proven, then they can claim ownership. The adverse possessor can claim ownership, because those are the factors that a court will consider. An important case in point is Recreational Holdings Jamaica Limited versus Call Lazarus and the Registry of Titles. Mr. Lazarus commenced a claim seeking a declaration that he had been in open and undisturbed possession of the disputed property for more than 12 years, and that the title for such land has been extinguished pursuant to the Limitation Act. The court ruled in his favor, in the favor of Mr. Lazarus, and held that the title of the disputed property had been extinguished by the time he had purchased the Windsor property in 2011.
Never. This is my land.
Was your land.
Let's draw our attention to the United Kingdom. The main two elements needed to establish adverse possession under the old regime in the UK are factual possession and intention to possess.
Need a lawyer?
Yeah. I need a lawyer.
With regards to factual possession, Justice Slade in Powell versus McFarlane held that appropriate degree of control is signified by factual possession. The question, what acts constitute a sufficient degree of conclusive physical control, must depend on the circumstances, in particular the nature of the land and the manner in which the land of that nature is commonly used or enjoyed. In J.A. Pye, Oxford Limited versus Graham, 2002, the House of Lords stated that the squatter must show intention to exclude the paper owner and the rest of the world from the land to the extent that it is reasonably practicable and so far as the law allows. The second element would be satisfied once it is clear that the claimant is not merely a persistent trespasser, but is actually seeking to dispossess him. Prior to the coming into force of the Land Registration Act 2002, a squatter could acquire the right to register as a proprietor of a registered estate if they had been in adverse possession for a minimum of 12 years. However, The Land Registration Act 2002 has created a new regime that applies only to registered land. Under this new regime, squatters who establishes 10 years of adverse possession of registered land will become eligible to apply to His Majesty Land Registry to become the registered owner of the land, taking the place of the paper owner on the registry. As a result, automatic extinction of the registered owner's title because of adverse possession is no longer possible. Additionally, Schedule 6 of the 2002 Act allows the Land Registry to alert the registered proprietors of any application that claim title to their land. Hence, squatters' application would likely be defeated, primarily because when the registered paper owner is notified by the registry, they would either object to the application or serve a counter notice that will result in the squatter's eviction within 2 years.
We have squatters. First termites, now squatters.
However, there are 3 exceptional categories in paragraph 5 of Schedule 6, where any of these narrow exceptions apply. The registered owner's objection will unfortunately be overridden and their title will be extinguished. The first exception is that it would be unconscionable because of an equitable by estoppel for the registered proprietor to seek to dispossess the squatter, and the circumstances are such that the squatter ought to be registered as the proprietor. The second condition is that the squatter is for some other reason entitled to be registered as the proprietor. For example, where the squatter contracted to buy the land and paid the purchase price, but the legal estate was never transferred to them. The third and final exception is that the squatter has been in adverse possession of land adjacent to their own for at least 10 years, under the mistaken but reasonable belief that they are the owner of it. The exact line of the boundary with the adjacent land has not been determined under Section 60 of the Land Registration Act 2002, and the estate to which the application relates was registered for more than 10 years prior to the application date. An example of where this condition might apply is where the dividing walls or fence on the estate were erected in the wrong place. In conclusion, the fact that strangers can claim ownership of your land under certain conditions, it is important to guard against these adverse possession by doing the following. For example, by erecting no trespassing signs on your land if you're not currently using. By granting formalized permission to the trespasser in the form of a written lease. Also, the paper owner could have the land surveyed sporadically to ensure that there is no boundary violation. Inspect the land sporadically. Any unauthorized occupancy should be dealt with immediately. This concludes my legal analysis of adverse possession. Until next time, stay safe.